Hi, this is Wendy from Knitters Brewing, and I'm going to show you how we're going to put the short row border on this new shawl. So as you're working on the border rows, when you work on row 5, it will instruct you to place stitch markers along the row, along the edge of your border, so that there are going to be 20 stitches between each stitch marker. And these are beautiful stitch markers that Sockaholic Lena in Sweden made for me. Aren't they pretty? And the reason that we're putting those spacing out the stitch markers like that is because as we bind off this shawl, we're going to be using short rows to put little points across the bottom of it. And these are done using short rows. And they're a little curly right now because this hasn't been blocked yet, but once it's blocked, they'll lay nice and flat. And you can see they have little hearts on them. So for the border, for the first 14 rows of the border, you work back and forth across the entire length of the shawl. Then when we get to row 15, that's where we're going to start just working on one section at a time to do the points. And we do that by going back and forth and binding off on the right side rows on this side so that it tapers in this way. And we use short rows on the left side to make the left side of it increase or decrease as it goes up to the top. And I'm going to show you how that works. All right, so I'm at row 15 of the border, and here is my next set of 20 stitches between here and this little sheep over here. So I'm going to work row 15 per the instructions. And it says to do the slip, slip, knit, K2, slip, slip, knit, yarn over, K9, yarn over, K2 together, K2, and then it says wrap and turn. So right now we still have one stitch in our section of 20, and to do the wrap and turn, what you do is you slip the stitch on the left hand needle purlwise over to the right hand needle. Then bring the yarn forward. Now slip the stitch back over to the left needle without twisting it, and bring the yarn back to the back. So what you're doing is you're looping your yarn around the base of that next stitch. Now some people will wrap from the front to the back. You can do that if you want. I tried both ways and I thought this one looked the best and the most invisible as I go forward. Now after you've done your wrap, you turn. So while your yarn's in the back, you turn the work. And so row 2 and all the even numbered rows are simply purled. So I'm just going to purl to the end. All right, I've just finished working row 16, the wrong side row, and I believe I erroneously referred to that as row number 2 earlier, so excuse me for that. So now I'm ready to work row 17, and I'll show you how the wrap and turns look when we get to the end of that section. So we start with a slip, slip, knit, then knit 3, and a yarn over, then we slip, slip, knit twice. Oops. And yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 2 together twice, yarn over, knit 3, and then we're going to wrap and turn. So now there's 2 stitches left before the end of this 20 stitch section. And the first stitch, you can see, has got our wrap around it. The second stitch isn't wrapped yet, so we're going to go ahead and wrap that one and put it back on the left hand needle. So this is the pattern that will occur each time you work a right side row. You're going to have one fewer stitch to work on this side, and you'll end up with one more wrapped stitch. So I'm going to do a couple more rows, and then I'll come back and check in and show you how it's looking. Alright, now I'm ready to start right side row 23. So I did a couple of rows in here so you can see that this side is starting to get bound off. And over here now we've got 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4 that have wraps on them. Alright, so row 23 starts out slip, slip, knit, as do all of them. And then we knit 3. Then we yarn over, then we do the double decrease, which goes slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, yarn over, knit 3, and then we're going to do a wrap and turn. And so we already have 4 that were wrapped, so now we're going to wrap this one. And now we've got 5 that are wrapped. So now you can definitely see the pattern emerging over here. So I'll go ahead and finish up through rows 32, and then I'll check back in with you. Alright, I've just finished working wrong side row number 32. And now we're ready to do row 33, where we're going to bind off this left side of the point. So we've got stitches all the way along the edge here that were wrapped, except for the last 2 don't get wrapped, but that's all right. So the instructions say to bind off 10, and then we're going to remove the stitch marker and bind off 1 more. So there's a little trick. So the first couple stitches we can just knit because they weren't wrapped stitches. And you want to keep this loose, so keep your loops big. If you want, you could even grab a bigger size needle while you do this bind off. That would be a good way to keep it loose. Now when you come to a wrapped stitch and you're going to knit it, you need to knit the wrapped part along with the stitch, and that's what keeps holes from showing on your work. So to do that, you're going to go underneath the wrap and then through the stitch knitwise, wrap it, and bring your yarn through both loops and up like this. And then that wrap lays kind of nice and flat along the front. And then it's a bind off, so then we're just going to pull the first stitch over the second one and kind of loosen that guy up again. Alright, so through the wrap and the stitch, knit them together as one and bind it off. So we're going to do that until we've reached 10, which actually puts us down to the stitch marker. So we have just a few more to go here. We'll continue to keep it loose. Don't worry if it looks like it's a little tight, because we all know how much work or how much magic happens when we block. So when it's blocked, everything will lay nice and flat and even like it's supposed to. Okay, a couple more. And this is the last one of the 10. Alright, now the instructions say to remove the stitch marker. So we'll say goodbye to our little sheepy friend here. And then it says to bind off 1 more stitch. And then it says to slip this stitch that's on the right hand needle over to the left hand needle, and then you'll repeat rows 15 through 33 again on the next section of 20 stitches. And that's what makes the points. And that's all there is to it.